Today's review is going to be on the game Centipede, the 1998 rendition, which was also released. It was released on the PC in 1998, PlayStation 1 in 1999, and the Dreamcast in 1999. This review is focused on the PlayStation 1 edition. Yet all three of those versions are similar enough, suffer from the same issues, and have the same pluses as so the review will be sufficient to cover all three. It was also released for the Game.com handheld, and that one I have not played sufficiently to provide an opinion on it. Basically, it's a 3D remake of the 1981 Centipede arcade game from Atari, and it's done much in a similar vein as other games at this time. They were trying to recreate. It's yet another reboot of a classic game from that time. I mean, reboot of an 80s classic game into the modern time, and then he also had Frogger, Pong, Asteroids, Missile Command, and numerous other franchises where reboots were attempted with mixed reviews and varying degrees of success. None in particular did very well, though. So we'll take a look at this one to see if it's any better. So, this does expand upon the first one by adding missions, cutscenes, 3D graphics, and a story that's integrated into gameplay. The original game had a story that you could read about. However, that story had very little to do with the actual gameplay that was occurring. It was more just a little background information that provided a reason for the actions on screen taking place, but that you weren't actually involved in it at all in any meaningful way. This is also the late 90s, where a lot of developers were still struggling with creating 3D games, and the hardware was still rather primitive for 3D graphics. The graphics themselves are dated, but are sufficient for the style of game it is. They actually have quite a bit of charm for the time into the present. Especially the little centipedes that go around. They're very blocky, but the graphics themselves are not the issue. Nor are the sound effects, which hold up quite well. And the game itself is quite a fun game in small doses. The missions are rather simple, but the arcade game itself was rather simple as well. Where this game falls apart is a combination of two things. The camera angle, which is heavily tied to just the time period it's released, where many 3D games struggled with the camera angle, either out of necessity from hardware limitations or just from lack of experience developing 3D games, and the controls, which are rather loose, and that looseness is made even worse by a camera that flies around the screen. Also, where your ship is located on the screen gives shows very little of what's behind you, so you have no real idea of what's going on behind you. So it's not uncommon for something to be right next to you, and you turn and run into it and lose a life. Or something just hops into you from behind and you have no chance to react. Which kind of adds too much chance to what was a highly skill-based arcade game, where you knew when you messed up and early 80s Centipede, it was because you didn't react in time with the rare collision detection issue, but that issue was rare for that arcade game. So basically what you have here is another attempt at rebooting a classic game that falls short mostly as a result of just limitations of the time and the controls being lousy. Same issue as Pong, and the same issue as Frogger. However, in my opinion, this game is better. It's much better than the Pong reboot, which, given the graphics on that and just the way they constructed some of the new Pong games, made the game range from mediocre to downright atrocious. And Frogger, whose camera angle is even worse. This game is slightly better than Frogger, and much better than the Pong reboot. This game you can pick up for fairly cheap on most systems, and if you enjoy shooters and enjoy the Centipede license, then you'll probably find some limited enjoyment here. Got this as part of a stack of 20-some PlayStation games I spent about $60 or $70 for. I spent most of that money as a result of getting Resident Evil, Final Fantasy VII, and a few other games in there. So basically this was just, I spent a couple dollars for this, and I got a couple dollars worth of entertainment. There's just not enough in this game to say it's more than an average title. I'm going to go ahead and put this game right below Tommy Lasorda Baseball for the Genesis and right above Golf for the Virtual Boy. And it's a game that for the price, it's worth what you'll end up paying for it, which should only be a couple dollars at this point, given how common this game is for both the PlayStation and PC. And the Dreamcast version isn't heavily sought out either, which has helped lower its price as well. Hope you enjoyed the review. Please like, subscribe, have a great day.